There's been this really popular opinion in the Halloween franchise for a really long time that Halloween 5 is a bad movie and it's one of the worst in the series. Today, I'm here to tell you that you are objectively wrong. Hey, what's up, everybody? That's right, it's Nick here, and I'm standing on my soapbox yet again defending a Halloween movie that gets a ton of crap from most people on the internet. And I've never really understood why. Now, I should preface this video by saying that anybody that knows me knows Halloween 5 was the first Halloween movie I ever saw as a kid. It's the first one I have memories of. It made me fall in love with the character. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I don't have a soft spot for it, that there's not some bias here, because there absolutely is. But every time I see somebody do a Halloween franchise ranking and they put Halloween 5 at the bottom or second to last, and they always go on a diatribe about how it's just a really bad movie and there's almost no redeeming qualities about it, I just simply can't get behind that. I've never been able to get behind that. And for years I've racked my brain going like, how can I disprove this? See, when it comes to Halloween 5, if it's just a matter of taste, hey, this isn't really my style of movie, I totally get it. Hey, this didn't really work for me, but I can respect and appreciate some of what it tries. I get that too. But when it comes to just saying that the movie just has no redeeming qualities and it is gutter trash, I simply just think that that is absolutely false. First and foremost, I'm here to tell you that I think Halloween 5 actually has a better cast of characters than Halloween 4. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's by performances, although some of these performances are quite good. But let's run down the gambit here. Whether you love or hate Halloween 5, I don't think you'll find anybody that says that Danielle Harris is better in 4 than she is in 5. Absolutely not. She's asked to do a lot more with less in Halloween 5, and I think she delivers in spades. I think that while Rachel is kind of pushed to the side in this movie, I kind of think that was good for the movie. Because you get Tina, and everybody hates Tina. Everybody loves to hate Tina. But admittedly, is she kind of over the top? Sure, but she's a really good person that at the end of the day sacrifices her life for Jamie, while Jamie's foster sister wanted to bitch and moan about how she couldn't go on a date with her boyfriend that was two-timing her anyway. I'm sorry, but I personally find Tina to be a much better character and support system for Jamie. Dr. Loomis continues his natural progression from the end of Halloween 4, where he's just totally off the rails. See, I feel it gets misremembered quite often that in Halloween 4, he's kind of off his rocker too. And after what he sees by the end of that movie, it makes total sense in Halloween 5 that he would basically be out for Michael Myers at any cost. He doesn't care. If he has to put the little girl up as a sacrifice, so be it. He's gonna get this son of a bitch. And I really appreciate that. There's also a lot of really interesting, fun side characters in here. Sure, you don't get a lot from Sammy and Spitz, but they're funny and they have good moments. Mike, he's just every prototypical douchebag in the late 80s. If you grew up in that era, I didn't, but we saw him in a lot of movies. I'm sure you saw him in real life. He's a fun character, he's harmless. I think the cast here overall just has more life and vivaciousness than Halloween 4 did. I just feel like there's more there. Not to mention in this movie, Jamie actually has a friend that cares about her with Billy. So you may say Billy's annoying. I don't agree at all, but he's a really good friend to Jamie and he really cares about her. And honestly, that little girl, after the shit she's been through, she needed at least that. Next up is just the overall presentation of the movie. See, again, I'm a fan of Halloween 4 because I'm a big fan of this series. You guys know that. But let's not kid ourselves. Halloween 5 is a far better looking film than Halloween 4 is. Halloween 4 looks like a made-for-TV movie. Even if you love it, you gotta admit, it looks kinda shoddy at times. Halloween 5 doesn't. Halloween 5 is very, very colorful. And I think a lot of what Dominique Othenin-Girard brought to this film is that French flair, both style and substance. The way a scene is shot, the way the camera moves, the way it's staged, it just looks so much more professional in this movie. I really think they play off of the colors of the exterior a lot well. Things pop more. It just looks more pleasing to my eye. And I think that that goes a long way. Another area where this succeeds, I think, over Halloween 4 is the portrayal of Michael Myers. Now, you'll hear a lot of people complain about how they hate the look of Michael in this movie, whether it's the fact that he's huge or whether it's the fact that the mask looks totally different. They'll totally excuse Halloween 4's mask for looking just objectively worse. But Halloween 5, oh god, that's garbage. Look, at this point in the series, we knew going forward there was going to be different masks for every movie, slight variations here and there, and it was going to stick out like a sore thumb. That's absolutely true, and Halloween 5 is no exception to that. However, the portrayal of Michael Myers in this movie is a lot angrier. See, I love the subtitle of The Revenge of Michael Myers because he really does feel like he's out for blood. Like he just wants to kill anyone and everyone in his way. And I kind of dig that, like, a lot. And I think the mask actually plays into that because it looks angry. There's personification on that mask. I don't know if it's the eyes, I don't know if it's the nose, the way it fits around Don Shanks' head, but it just looks angry. And I feel like that works for Michael in this movie. Whereas in Halloween 4, again, I've always called it the finger in the booty ass mask, where he just looks surprised the whole time, completely devoid of any personification whatsoever. It's just like a white blob. And we can't say the same thing even about the original Halloween. There was some personification there. It made him look like a man, but like a ghostly apparition of a man. So I think Halloween 5 is just so much better in the portrayal of Michael Myers and in the way Michael looks. And that's not to say that George P. Wilbur is not a good Michael Myers, because I adore him in Halloween 6. But I don't know if it was the shoulder pads in Halloween 4, if it was the way he was shot, if it was the mask, but I've just never been a big fan of Michael in Halloween 4 whatsoever. And I think Halloween 5 clears it. Another area where Halloween 5 improves over Halloween 4 is in the stakes. See, the stakes are raised in this movie, and naturally they always are in any sequel, especially if a character lives throughout the previous film. But let's be honest, in Halloween 4, were you actually genuinely worried that most of these characters were going to die, like Rachel or Jamie or Loomis? No, probably not. In Halloween 5, that goes all out the window. Rachel's killed off less than 30 minutes into the movie. Jamie is literally put through the ringer and abused. Like, literally. They had to cut stuff out of the film because they were like, hey, you can't show this. This is too far. And Loomis, he was supposed to die initially, then they just said it was a stroke, but he looks like he's a goner at the end of this movie. And I don't know about you guys, but I've always loved movies that have higher stakes. See, if I can go into a movie feeling like none of these characters are safe, that keeps me on my toes. I hate going into anything and going, well, you're going to be all right, you're going to be all right, and you're going to be all right. That's just not fun. I want to be kept guessing. I want to be kept on my toes. And Halloween 5 absolutely does that. And another area that kind of goes hand in hand with the stakes is the suspense. I feel like the suspense in Halloween 5 is far better than Halloween 4 because the highs in Halloween 5 are much higher than anything in 4. Now, I will say, the ending of Halloween 4 with Jamie having stabbed her stepmother, was incredible. It was definitely a cliffhanger, and it was like, whoa, what the hell? But Halloween 5 has some moments of genuine tension, whether it be the scene throughout the barn, and my God, the way that is lit and shot is gorgeous, and you know it is, even if you don't like this movie. But that's suspenseful, that's eerie, that's creepy. Then you've got the stuff in the attic, in the laundry chute, which is one of the best suspense sequences in this entire franchise. And then the stuff throughout the woods in the car chase. There are moments in this movie that you're white knuckling it, like you really are, especially the first time you watch it. And especially because 9 times out of 10, it's a child at the forefront of this. Not to mention that Dr. Loomis goes off the friggin' deep end by the end of this movie and he says, I'll do anything it takes to get Michael. So guess what? You want Jamie? Come get her. And you're probably watching that like, is he really about to like off her? Like just give her to Michael Myers? That matters. That matters so much because as a viewer, you are tantalized. You are intoxicated by what you are watching, and it keeps you on the edge of your friggin' seat. Some of the most common things people complain about with Halloween 5 are some of the most annoying complaints you can have with this movie. One of them, first and foremost, being the introduction of the Man in Black. People say, oh my God, this is so dumb. The franchise went off the rails, blah, blah, blah. Look, if you have a problem with the Man in Black and where he ended up, his explanation, how he ties into the plot, you have a problem with Halloween 6. Now, sure, you can say, well, Halloween 5 introduced him. They absolutely did. They did not at all tell Daniel Farrens or Joe Chappelle or anybody how to explain that. How they chose to explain that was how they chose to explain it. In Halloween 5, he's barely in a handful of scenes. He gets no lines of dialogue. You see and know nothing about this character. He's just like a mysterious specter that maybe possibly has some kind of vested interest in Michael Myers, but that's it. Honestly, I feel like that mystery is kind of exciting. But if you have a problem with where he ended up, you got a problem with 6, not 5. Another issue people have in this movie is the killing of Rachel. Look, I never understood this. I don't understand why so many people had such an affinity for the character of Rachel Carruthers. Why? She was annoying in Halloween 4. She was downright mean to Jamie multiple times. Sure, I get it. Oh, well, she's a teenager. This is a little girl. They're not really related. Okay, but hasn't that little girl been through enough? Like, I just never really loved Rachel in Halloween 4. And furthermore, as I said, if you're going to come back for a sequel, you're probably going to die in the sequel. Like, that's a prerequisite. So anybody that wasn't expecting her to die, well, I don't know what you were expecting, truly, because I don't think most people were shocked when they saw this movie in theaters that Rachel ended up dying. But again, I think Tina is just such a better replacement because she actually does care about Jamie. She actually does put Jamie first in a lot of ways. And honestly, you could say, oh, well, she went to the party and left her at the home. Well, yeah, because she believed she was in safe hands. She didn't actually think the boogeyman was out there. But when she realized he was, she literally gave her life for that little girl. I'm sorry, but Rachel never had a sacrifice come close to that for Jamie. Furthermore, with the Tina point, it's just like, oh, well, she's so grating. She's so annoying. Dude, y'all act like, you talk like you haven't seen many 80s horror movies, or just 80s movies in general. Go through the 1980s, whether it be comedies, rom-coms, whether it be horror movies. There's a character like this in dozens, if not hundreds of those types of movies. But Halloween fans sometimes will just nitpick the most annoying little things and make it be the reason why they don't like something. And I just think that that is so disingenuous and freaking lame. We also get a lot of complaints about how Jamie didn't end up following that arc from the end of the fourth movie of her becoming Myers' little sidekick. Really? You wanted that? Really? So we were going to follow up Halloween 4 with a 9-year-old girl killing people as Michael Myers' sidekick. Yeah, y'all really received it well with Corey, so I'm sure that would have worked great in Halloween 5. No, look, that's jumping the shark. That's a jump the shark moment here. And let's just be honest here. Mustafa Akkad was not having that. It wasn't going to happen. Even if the script had that in it, he was not going to allow that to happen. That's your protagonist. That's the person you're supposed to be drawn toward. It didn't matter who wrote or directed this movie. You were never going to see that. Stretching of believability with that would just be to the point where, like, I don't know if I could get behind that. But I think the movie salvaged that ending really well because she's been hospitalized for it, institutionalized essentially, and she's kind of a shell of herself. She has walled up. She's traumatized. She doesn't even know why she did what she did. And as the movie goes on, we find out, oh, it's this familial psychic kind of connection to Myers. Again, if people have problems with the psychic connection, that I can't really argue. That's either something that you can buy into or you can't buy into it. You've seen it in a lot of movies. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that just is what it is. And then another complaint about Halloween 5 that you get is the new Myers house. How this is not the Myers house at all. They didn't even try to hew closely to what came before it. And again, that's just something that works for you or it doesn't work for you. Dominique Othon and Gerard put it that the script demanded that they have a much larger house. It had to have a basement. It had to have a laundry chute. It had to have an attic. Look, I'm sorry, but eventually, just looking at that house from the original Halloween, you weren't going to be able to do all of Halloween 5's finale in a house that small. You just couldn't do it. So they made a conscious decision to do it this way. And it's not to say they couldn't have found a house that looked closer to the Myers house, because they did in Halloween 6, in the same city that they shot Halloween 5. This was a choice. And it's a choice that I'm okay with. Because Dominique Othon and Gerard brought this gothic flair to this movie, and I think the entire third act taking place in what essentially looks like this haunted freaking manor with so many levels and so many nooks and crannies, I think works absolutely perfectly. And I love it, just aesthetically speaking. It just looks incredible. Now, there is one thing that I will not try to defend, and that's the clown cops. There's no way to defend them. Look, it was a dumb idea. I don't know why they did it. The music really is what made it dumb. You could have these bumbling cop idiots in this movie because you have them in a lot of mid-level slasher movies, but like the music was just too far. I won't defend that. You've got me on that one. I think this movie in almost every conceivable way is superior to Halloween 4. Now, this video wasn't for you to agree with me on that. You don't have to prefer this to 4. You don't have to say this is one of the best movies in the series. No, you absolutely don't. What this video was for was to dispel some of the bullshit, lazy talking points against Halloween 5. Some of the points that people use to complain about it that are just objectively not true. Look, again, if there are things that do not work for you, that's fine. That's a matter of taste. But saying certain things are objectively wrong or bad when they are just objectively not is something that I really, really get sick and tired of hearing. I also look at the Halloween franchise on its face as a whole, and there is no possible way I think Halloween 5 could ever be considered the worst movie in this series. There's just too much merit to this film. There are movies in this series that have far less merit, far less. Yet people have soft spots for them. And like I said, if it's a preference, I get that. But let's not confuse the two. There is a lot to love about Halloween 5. There always has been a lot to love about Halloween 5. And I feel like if you're able to kind of go into it and just reset, try to reset. Try to pick out things you like from this movie. Try to understand that this came out in 1989. Look at some of the other horror movies coming out in 1989 and tell me that this was far off in terms of quality. I would actually make the argument it's above a lot of those in terms of quality, in terms of craftsmanship, and in the performances and characters department. But look, I could go on and on and on about Halloween 5. I could do it all day. This is nothing to me. I enjoy doing this. This is fun. I want to hear down below from you guys though. I know you guys have seen me do videos or talk on streams about Halloween 5 over the years, and I want to know if I've ever changed your mind on this movie. If anything I've ever said or done has made you look at this movie differently. And if so, what is that? I want to know if you're somebody that still just hates Halloween 5 and you can't get past it. Why is that? What is it about this movie that you simply cannot forgive, yet you can forgive other movies in this series that are just objectively lesser films? Whatever it is, I want to hear down below in the comments section from you. Know that I love you all. I love this entire series. This is not meant to argue. If anything, this is me trying to put an end to some of the arguments that I find have absolutely no weight to them. But I want to hear you guys sound off in the comments section below. So thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.